Today we are going to see what is logging and how it is related to Elasticsearch and why we need logging. Whenever we interact with any of the machine in our organization, either it might be in the data center or either it might be in the cloud environment, whenever the user is trying to interact with the machine, so this interaction is being recorded in the form of logs. Each and every interaction is being recorded in the form of the logs. Similarly, we have some web application running on this particular machines. The end user, whenever they try to access this web application, even that will be recorded in the form of logs. And we have like not only one or two machines, we might have n number of machines in our environment. In these machines, we might be running our services like a Tomcat, or we might be even running Apache web server, or it might be a K8s Kubernetes cluster. So on top of them, our applications are running. Now the end users are trying to access these applications. Whenever they try to access this application, that logs, even that also will be logged on this particular machines. Like in an organization, we might even have n number of machines. We have n number of logs getting generated in our machines. Now the developers might need access to those logs to analyze some of the content. So in order to access these logs, the developers need to log into this machine to view these logs. So this, if it is a single machine, that is fine. But if it is having the logs on n number of machines, the developer need to log into the n number of machines in order to access these logs. And this might be a production machines. Even the developers doesn't have sometimes access to these machines. In this scenario, to overcome such kind of problems, what we have done is, instead of putting those logs on those machines, we also want to send the logs to an centralized location. That itself, I'm calling it as a centralized log storage. I'm calling it as a centralized log storage. Now from all the servers, the logs has been sending to the centralized log storage, even the database logs or whatever might be the logs, and we are putting it into a centralized log storage. So this is a traditional model where we even can put the logs here. But what made us to move towards the Elasticsearch? So we are even moving towards the Elasticsearch. Like, what is the advantage? Like, instead of putting the logs in a centralized location, we are now sending the logs to the Elasticsearch. The Elasticsearch has some of the capabilities. The first capability which it has about this particular Elasticsearch provides is like infrastructure monitoring. Infrastructure monitoring. It can monitor your infrastructure. Like whenever you it say the infrastructure, it can monitor your machine. Whenever it says the monitoring the machine, it will monitor the CPU, it will monitor the RAM, and it will monitor the system logs, who has been logged into this machine and who has been logged out of those machines. All each and everything will be logged, and dot logs also can be sent to an Elasticsearch. And the second case where I can also use is a real user monitoring. A real user monitoring. So what is this real user monitoring? Like, as I said in my earlier example, my servers on top of my machines, I have might be having a Kubernetes clusters, or I might have an Apache web server where the end users are trying to access these services. Whenever they are trying to access the application which is running on those machines, so those things in a real user monitoring, they can track the interactions of these users on these web applications. They can track the interactions of the users on these web applications. Like this user has stayed on a web page for more than 1 minute. That means I can conclude that this user is interested in that particular product. So such kind of analytics can be made. So that's one benefit, or that's one case where I can say the Elasticsearch is going to provide for us. So it's not only just storing the logs, we can even, as I said, like the first example is infrastructure, it can even monitor the real user monitoring. Like it can say on the user is been on this particular web page for how long, or from this user from this particular web page to another web page, how to which web page he has been navigating. So those things can be also tracked. And also it has, the Elasticsearch has another feature like log analytics. Like log analytics, it can collect and store the metrics and the traces. We even can trace like from which region this particular request is coming, and throughout the world from which country, from which region. So they can do some analytics, like on this particular product there is more customers coming from Europe region, or this particular product is been getting more requests from Asian region. So based on that, they can get the future ready for those particular product in that particular regions. And also the most important thing is like the search capabilities on your web application. Whenever you go and search for something like some product on a web applications, so that capability has been enabled with this Elasticsearch, like full text search, vector search, and hybrid search. In today's session, as I have been telling that, so I can even send my infrastructure to my Elasticsearch. So this one I am trying to go and show you the demo. On my server, I have an Apache web server which is running. On top of my Apache web server, I have a web application running. Now I want to send this particular logs to the Elasticsearch. So I have configured that, and now you can see here like my logs has been sending to the Elasticsearch. So here whatever you're seeing right now, this is a Kibana dashboard, which is a GUI where we can visually see the logs on this particular dashboard. Now when you come across here, I can see now my web application has been accessed, like at what time it has been accessed and from which IP address it has been accessed. So those informations I even can go and visually see that. If you can go and click from localhost, there was some request has been coming and that has been even recorded. So likewise, not only this, even I can record the entire system. As I said, it's infrastructure monitoring. On my machine, I have my system, like who has been logged into this machine, who has been logged out of this machine. So those logs has also been recorded here. So the beauty of this is like we can visually dynamically see the logs here, and we can create some of the alerts. Like I want to have an alert whenever the user has been tried to log into this machine, an unauthorized user, an anonymous user. And whenever some service has been stopped, immediately you want to get an alert. Such kind of things we can do with this Elasticsearch. So these things we are going to see in the next video, how to configure this and how to set up these things in my next video. For today, I think I have